Hey everyone, this is Brian Ferguson. I know if you're watching this that you're enjoying the Bumps and Thumps podcast. In order to continue the podcast and get the guests on that everyone wants to hear about, we need support from listeners like you. There are a few ways you can do this. One is going to anchor.fm, which will be on the bottom of your screen here, and click the support button. There you can make a monthly contribution to support the podcast. There's also, we have a Teespring store. We have a link down at the bottom of the screen as well for that. And we have products such as t-shirts like this one I'm wearing, backpacks, glassware, and other great items for you to purchase. Those purchases go directly back into the podcast and get on guests that require financial compensation. Thank you again for your support. Go to those websites and support our podcast, and we will continue to bring the guests that you want to hear about, past and present. And thank you for your support and enjoy the podcast. Thank you for joining another edition of Bumps and Thumps, the talk of wrestling. I'm Brian Ferguson. My guest today was actually my first guest on this podcast 2 years ago. He is known throughout the wrestling world, a legend, two-time World Tag Team Champion, the AWA, known one half the High Flyers with Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, and a two-time AWA International Television Champion, just to name a few of his championships. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Greg Gagne. Greg,
hey,
thanks
Brian.
for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me back again.
Yeah.
Took 2 years, but you know what? The last interview must have been not that good.
Oh, you were great. You know what? And I saw you last year at Crusher Fest, you and Jim, Medusa, Bischoff, and Kenny J. That was
who was the fourth one there?
Your friend?
Who?
Yeah. Another guy. Yeah. So I'm glad you were able to come on today. I know you've been busy. Things going on with you, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, but I have something here that I want to show the fans from back in the day when you and Jim won your titles the first time in 1977. Here we go.
The referee winner.
Kirby on the mic.
And Greg Gagne held the Gagne sleeper on Blackjack Landa. It could be the World Tag Team Championship. Brunzell body slam dunked him. Lanza. That's it. That's it. Wait, that is it.
What was that like for you, Greg?
Yeah, I just got goosebumps seeing it.
What was that moment like for you?
Oh, it was unbelievable for both Jim and I. You know, we'd come a long ways. Anybody really gave us a chance when we first started.
Yeah.
And I know our first big match we had was against Bockwinkel and Stevens down in Peoria, Illinois. And they put us in one of the smaller towns, see what would happen. And we got there, and we were only, I think, let's see, this was 78. So is it 78? No, it was before that, probably 76, somewhere in there. We've been wrestling only for about 3 years. And they put us in Peoria, Illinois, high school gym, seated 4,000 people. They usually drew, maybe 2,000 people. We had 4,000 stuffed in there, and they turned people away. And we had just an unbelievable match with Bockwinkel and Stevens. Of course, they had Heenan in their corner. And that kind of woke the promoters up around the country. And then the next match they put us with was in Denver, Colorado, with Lars Anderson and Buddy Wolf.
Okay.
And they were like the number one contenders. And it was in January. And in Denver at that time, we always wrestled at the auditorium, except in January, they went into the rodeo ring.
Okay.
The big building, because January was rodeo month in Denver. And we always had a match out there. And we had, I don't know, 12, 15,000 people in there. And we knocked off Heineme or Lars Anderson and Buddy Wolf that night. And in fact, on our way back to the locker room, they jumped us from behind. We got in a big Donnybrook in the back by the locker room. But that kind of really catapulted us, where the promoter said, well, you know, these kids got something going and the people want to see them.
Yeah.
And, you know, Winnipeg was a great city for us. You know, a lot of them. I mean, we caught on.
You did.
And we had a style that was a little different because of our size. You know, my dad trained us 6 hours a day, 6 days a week for 4.5 months in an old barn. And we were pretty salty when we came out of there. and really ready.
Yeah.
I think Michael Hayes said it best. He said, when anybody came out of the Gagne camp, you knew they were ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. I mean, you watch documentaries on the AWA and they always say Vern made stars.
He trained 144 wrestlers and only 2 of them didn't make it to main event status.
That's a pretty good
That's
record.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's an amazing.
They always talk about Stu Hart. Stu was another one that trained a lot of professional wrestlers. Back in that day, there was actually Vern, Stu Hart, Eddie Graham, and the Funks were basically the ones that really provided all the promoters around the country with the talent.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Vince McMahon never trained anybody.
No, not
he took from everybody.
He took from everybody. Yeah. Okay, well, that match was amazing. I remember that as a little kid when it came on TV, when they showed it on the Minneapolis channel, WTCN, I think it was, or
WTCN,
yeah. And I was jumping up for joy. I still remember it. I mean, I was probably 7 years old at the time. And that's why. And for those of you that can watch and see, I'm wearing my AWA shirt.
Yes, you are.
And, you know, I've been a fan since I was a little guy. So, but I also want to talk about now, you know, you've done a lot of things in professional wrestling, and now you and a gentleman,
Steve Rosenthal.
Rosenthal started a company called Powertown Wrestling. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, Steve was the first action figure. He worked with Remco Toys, and back in the 80s, he actually he was from the New Jersey area, and his son one day said to him, "Hey, Dad, you know, you do all these other action figures. Why don't you do wrestling?" So he actually went in and met with Vince Jr. And had a deal with him. And Vince wanted to change some of the terms of it. So he went back, rewrote the contract, came back and said, you know, that's not right. And I need some upfront money. So Steve rewrote it again, went back a third time. And Vince wanted more money.
Oh my gosh.
And he had to go back to Remco. So Steve said he was into him for about $100,000. And the last time he went back, as they sat down to close the deal, Vince threw a magazine at him and he said, "Do you know these people?" He said, "Yeah, I do. They're competitors of mine." He said, "I just signed a deal with them."
Oh my gosh.
So Steve was pretty upset, and Remco was, you know, on his tail a little bit. And he called Vern, came into Minneapolis, cut a deal with us. And Remco was the first company that got wrestling action figures on the market.
Yeah.
And Steve ran with it for about 7 or 8 years, did really well and retired. And a few months, well, almost over a year now ago, he called me on the phone. He said, "Hey, you want to get back in the action figure business?" So what are you talking about? So he ran it by me and I said, "Well, you know what, if we're going to do that, what I'd like to do is go back and give the people that never had the opportunity to get involved in that and really tell the history of professional wrestling when it started on the network TV out of Chicago in 1950. So he thought it was a great idea, ran it by some other people on the board. They thought it was fantastic. And I started getting on the phone and trying to dig up families of
Yeah.
Yukon Eric, the Mighty Atlas, Hardboiled Haggerty,
Wow.
Wilbur Snyder, all the guys from that era that really started network TV. Lou Thez and Vern were the two big stars.
Yeah.
Lou Thez was the NWA champion. Vern was the US champion. And Vern used to tell the story that, they didn't know how strong TV was.
Mm-hmm.
He got called. We were actually living in Tulsa, Oklahoma in a trailer. He wrestled his first match in Minneapolis against Abe King Kong Cashy. He won by disqualification, but the promoters told him he was too small and sent us to Oklahoma. My dad got a trailer, and my mom, dad, and I drove to Tulsa. And his first week there, he won the light heavyweight, junior heavyweight championship, NWA.
Okay.
And then in 1950, he gets this call from Fred Kohler. He said, "Vernon, we'd like to bring you into Chicago, and we're going on network TV." So they flew Vern in. He used to tell the story. So I get in the locker room, and they got about 30 guys in there, and Fred Kohler's going over, now we're going on network TV, and Vern, here's what we want you to do. We're going to dress you up as a Martian and lower you from the ceiling into the ring. And Vern said, "Well, the hell you are." He said, "Look, I was a high school champion, state wrestling champion, Big Ten champion, NCAA champion, wrestling on the Olympic team. I got my tights and my boots. If I can't make it in wrestling with those, I'll quit. But I'm going to go down to the ring, and the guys can come in 1, 2, or 3 at a time. And if I can't beat them all, I'll quit." And nobody got in the ring with him. So he wrestled with his tights and his wrestling boots, and became a major star in wrestling in 1950.
International star. I mean,
Yeah, he did. I mean, he had he was on the old Howdy Doody show, Art Linkletter,
yeah.
Jack Parr, The Tonight Show. He did all of them.
He
was really, even though Lou was the NWA champion, Vern was the one that was getting all the notoriety.
I think that from what I understand, like Vern was really the first wrestler to promote vitamins, products. One of the first, anyways, for sure. And across the country, and it's pretty amazing. You look at those old clips with the Gagne, the metrics, the Gagne powder, the vitamins. It's quite amazing for that era.
Yeah, it really was. And he, I actually, I was growing up a big baseball fan, the New York Yankees, Mickey Mantle, and, that whole crew that was in there, Whitey Ford, Elston Howard. And I remember in 1957, the Twins were playing here in Minneapolis. They just kind of came on board, and the Yankees were playing here. And my dad used to tell me that, when he went to Washington, D.C., he would sit on the bench with Casey Stengel and the Yankee players, and then go out with some of them afterwards. And I was a big Mickey Mantle fan.
Yeah.
So I went he took me down to the locker room, and when we got in there, I couldn't believe, here's Mickey Mantle, Whitey Ford, Elston Howard. They all came running up to my dad, and I'm looking at these guys as my heroes. And here, that's when I first realized that, man, he's something special.
Yeah.
And he really was. He was a great guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your the Power team again, if we can.
Okay.
Now I got Steve up here. So you told us a little about Steve and getting into the business. So, and you talked a little bit about getting these guys.
Still looks good. He's in his late 70s.
Yeah.
Looks fantastic, works hard.
Yeah.
So he called me, and I said, well, let's do it this way. And he agreed that would be, he ran it by his people, and he thought it'd be fantastic. I needed somebody from wrestling, though. I was with all these, guys that built the toys and the toy manufacturers. And I needed somebody to help out. And I'd been talking and brought on board Terry Allen, Magnum TA. And the more we talked, I said, God, this guy, he thinks the same way I do. We have the same passion for wrestling. and what we want to do for the people who really built the sport. You know,
Yeah.
families of Yukon Eric and Hardboiled Haggerty, Don Leo Jonathan, you know, that era, they never had that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I go back even to like Nick Bockwinkel, his poor wife, Darlene. Nick passed away. She's in her late 70s and she's still working
Yeah.
to provide for herself. And
Wow.
here's a chance for us to give back to those people that built this industry. And TA was all excited about it. And we brought him on board as a partner.
Yeah.
And him and I have been handling all the wrestling part of it and guiding him through it. We've got Hotspots who's going to do all our, I went blank here. They're going to do all when the toys come in, distribution.
There you go. Yeah, I knew you were coming.
With a chair or something. Bring it back to me. They're going to do our distribution. They're working on the website right now. The website should be up, and we plan on kicking off on September 6th.
Oh, wow.
Right after Labor Day.
Okay.
And about a week or two before on social media, we'll start hammering it. And we've got the first 6 figures done.
Okay. Yeah.
There's going to be different areas in this merchandising company. We're not just doing action figures.
Yeah.
But to get everybody, and we've got almost 200 former professional wrestlers, managers, ladies, wrestlers on board.
Okay.
We want to make sure that they all have an opportunity to, you know, have some income coming in from this venture.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure they appreciate that too.
The elite action figures, the first 6 we did.
Yeah, I'm going to share it right now.
Okay.
We got this guy here, Bruiser Brody. Yeah. We did 2 from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So we got Vernon Luthez. Okay, I can go back here a little bit.
Oh, you can do it this way. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. There's Vern.
Okay, so what we did, we took Vern, how he looked in 1950.
Mm-hmm.
He still had hair.
Yeah.
That was the jacket they wore. The belts will be available with the package. You know, him and Luthez always had a towel around their neck. Those will be a part of it.
Okay.
So we got Vern and Luthez from the 50s, and then we got
Stan.
Then we moved into Stan Hansen and King Kong Brody.
Okay.
Magnum TA.
Yeah.
And Kerry Von Erich. Those are our first 6.
Yeah.
Those are the elite ones. We're also going to have another bunch. Steve got tied back in with Remco.
Okay.
And we'll be able to do 144 miniature ones. So everybody gets going right away.
Wow.
So we'll have an elite group, and those we can only get about 6 to 12 out at a time.
Yeah.
We've got some other companies that are interested in working with us with video games.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting big quick.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to, and thank God, you know, everybody on board has been patient.
Yeah.
We've been at it for over a year, but it's September 6th to kick off.
Oh, okay, good. September 6th. So coming up.
Yep.
Good deal. I was going to ask you about that. So is it going to be on a website, or how is
the website? Will be at Powertown, where wrestling lives on.
Okay.
And they're finishing up that site here in the next week.
Okay.
Or so. And then, like I say, 2 weeks before the 6th, we'll start our social media campaign. And, you know, we've been doing a lot of podcasts and everything and getting everything ready. Matt Cardova, I know you know Matt.
Yeah.
They've been really helpful with us and done a great job.
Yeah. And
everybody in the wrestling industry is pretty excited about it.
Yeah. I mean,
except maybe people that are still running AEW and WWE, but
I think the wrestlers are excited. I know fans are, and because, you know, we didn't, even as a kid, you know, when you had your Remco action figures out, but they didn't have those legends of Luthez, Vern, Crusher, Bruiser, all these guys that, you know, shaped,
They shaped it.
yeah,
They did.
and
Angelo
pioneered it.
Poffo,
Yeah,
that's Randy Savage's dad.
yeah,
And we've got him and Lonnie on board, and we have the availability for even doing the Macho Man with him
wow,
as Randy Poffo.
yeah,
And we've done a lot of groundwork, and putting these families together.
yeah,
I was spending anywhere from 7 to 12 hours on the phone just about every day.
yeah,
And then that's when I brought TA on board. He jumped in and took a little of that off, but he's been very good on the business end of it,
good,
helping structuring everything,
yeah,
like with high spots and all that, and getting everybody on board here and all going in one direction and getting that engine started up and get it moving.
Yeah, I met TA probably about 4 years ago now at NWA 70. Heck of a nice guy.
Oh, terrific guy.
Been through a lot with his injuries and
Oh.
such, but I mean, a heck of a nice guy.
Oh, yeah. He's a
Very
guy- he
down to
only
earth.
wrestled- Yeah, he only wrestled 6 years, and he got in that car accident. They
Yeah.
were grooming him for the NWA champion.
Yeah, yeah, he would have did
Walt
good with
Sullivan
it too.
Square.
Yeah, he would have been the man for
Yeah,
a while. It's
and we
unfortunate.
talk about it a lot, and he's still, he uses the wheelchair a lot.
Yeah.
He gets around. He's just a really great guy, and
Yeah.
really understands the business of professional wrestling. The two of us together,
Mhm.
we think we make a pretty good team, and
Yeah.
I think Steve and his partners, or our other partners, they all agree that this was really a good addition to our team.
And these figures and this type of what you're pushing is way overdue.
It really is.
And I know it takes money and it takes time and it takes people that want to do it, but money's probably the biggest thing from.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I
It is,
mean,
but
I can only imagine the cost for just
yeah.
the molding and the production of them. But
Well, just these elite figures, each one costs about 10 grand.
oh my gosh,
So, we want them different and better. I mean, you'll see in them, like Luthez is taller than Vern.
Mm-hmm.
Brody's taller than Hanson.
Okay.
The bodies, the robes, the belts. I mean,
they look great. I mean, we see them right. I'll put them back up again, but they look fantastic. They look real. I'm going to share it with you right now. Can you see?
Well, yeah.
Look at the detail on that.
We sent that to Lacey Von Erich, and she thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, it looks just like him, and does same thing. He looks.
Yep, that was Lou in 1950.
I mean, and Magnum, yeah, it's just amazing how these guys look. Stan Hansen here, your dad in the 50s.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
Well, I'll tell you, Barb Goodish, Brody's wife.
Yeah.
She flipped out on it. And everybody that has seen that one, he had a messed up forehead. And it's pretty, you can see it.
Let me put it back up for you. I know what you're talking about. Let's go back.
Yep. And he
there he is. Look at that. It's detailed.
There's a little bar. There it is.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I mean, that face right there is the two people that do this you worked for the McFarlane Group. They did all their action figures, and McFarlane is like the number one action figure company in the world.
Yeah.
And these two gentlemen came on board with us, and they've done just a fantastic job.
Yeah. It's
I think people are going to really get it's a little funny because we did a lot of. They spent 14 hours on the phone with collectors around the world, and they kind of told us what they would like, and that's what we're kind of making.
Yeah.
The guys, they used to call them jobbers. We call them the guys that built the champions, and we've got about 22 of them on board.
Good.
And we're going to Frankie DeFalco and Jake the Milkman Milliman and Tom Rocky Stone, the
Oh.
Mulkey Brothers,
Yeah.
George South.
Yeah.
You know,
Good.
In their regions, they were on TV more than we were. They were on every week, and they became as famous as any of the other wrestlers, but never had the opportunity to have something like this done for them, and really never had the opportunity to, indulge in the bigger paydays in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And they busted their butts, and they were always there and to do TV and willing to do whatever they had to do. And so we are honoring that crew of people.
Yeah.
Johnny Rods is another one.
Johnny Rods, yeah.
Huge in New York.
Yeah, huge.
And, they deserve something like this. So we are doing that, and we haven't forgotten about the ladies either.
Good. I was going to ask you about that.
Oh yeah, Rockin' Robin, Medusa, Judy Martin, and Betty Grable, and going back.
Yeah.
Nona Littleheart, Princess Victoria, Velvet McIntyre.
Good.
And those ladies, they deserve. They busted their butts as hard as any of the guys did.
Yeah.
And we are even doing some of the little people.
Excellent.
Nobody's ever done them before. It's been hard to find the families.
Yeah.
So we've got a few that what we're doing is, if we can't find the family member, we're going to keep whatever their sales are in escrow for them in an account that's going to collect interest and hold it for 5 or 10 years. If they don't show up, then we will pass it on to the families that need that help.
Oh, that's great. That's good to hear. That's
what this is all about. That's why we got involved, because we want to help the people that really never had that opportunity. And but their dads, their husbands, they put a lot into this business and a lot of time away from home.
Yeah.
And a lot of those families are hurting.
Yeah. Yeah. When we were at Crusher Fest last year, one of the guys that was there was the Sodbuster, Kenny J.
Yep.
And just a wonderful guy. Talked to him, and his wife was there. They showed us that book they made.
Yeah.
Just his whole family was just wonderful.
George Scrap Iron Kanaski was another big, just a phenomenal personality.
Yeah.
But they deserve to be recognized.
They do.
And
they do
have been, and that's what we're doing.
I think they're underappreciated. I know. Guys like me, if you're over 45 years old or 50, I'm 51, but you remember those Kenny J's, Nacho Barrera's, Tom Rocky Stones, the Mulkey Brothers.
We try to go into each region where and get a few out of each region that were really notables.
Yeah.
And the Mulkey Brothers, I never heard of them, but they wrestled on the East Coast.
Yeah.
And they became, them and George South they're huge.
Yeah.
So one of the collectors said, "You got the Mulkey guys? How did you get them?"
Yeah. Yeah, they were big in Atlanta, on TV every week, TBS on Georgia. They were really every week. The Mulkey Brothers, Mulkey Mania. That's great. Mulkey Mania. I was going to talk to you about another thing. You remember our last discussion? This was a couple years ago now. You were training a young lady.
Yes.
How did that go? Are you training anybody else now, or any prospects?
It's Tiffany Stratton is her name.
Okay.
Jessica is her real name, but they changed her name down at the WWE.
Okay.
She went down there for a tryout, and I got the word back that she was a horse. And I told him, I said she was on the U.S. Olympic junior team for 5 years. Excelled in that. Then she went into weightlifting. Her first year set a world record on the weight lift. I think it was a clean and press she did.
Wow.
And then after a year of that, she went into cross training. She won that. So a friend of mine knew her parents, and she wanted to get into wrestling. And I took her and put her in the ring and trained her. And they call her Tiffany Stratton, and they love her down there.
Good.
I've got another one going, Tyler Johnson. He's going down, I think at the end of the month here for a tryout,
Good.
and hopefully one or two other ones that I've been working with a little bit.
Well, I know you've been training people for years, and they always seem to get in that right path. So kind of
Yeah.
like what your dad.
We do it old school.
Yeah.
We
Well, like
learn
your
from
dad, you
Vern.
know.
We and when I run the camp, or the training sessions, I don't do 6 hours with them, but I do 2 or 3 hours, sometimes 4 with them.
Yeah.
But they're learning the proper technique,
Hmm.
balance, leverage, the whole thing,
Yeah.
And so when they go down for a tryout, whether it's with AEW or WWE, fundamentally they're sound.
Yeah.
And that's what I told them. Everything else you can learn, but if you can learn your balance, your leverage, and you can learn holds and counter holds, even though everything now is flipping and flopping, I don't teach that.
Yeah.
But I teach them the basics. I said the other stuff will come if you have the basics down.
Yeah.
I had one kid, he's been in the independent for about 4 or 5 years.
Hmm.
And he was flat-footed and pigeon-toed. They were sticking out. And I said, you're never going to make it. Why not? I said, you don't have very good balance. You're going to get hurt. So I got him up on his toes, and within 2 or 3 weeks, he looks like a pro now.
Good.
Just those little things that help you as an athlete be able to go in and compete and not get eaten up.
Yeah. No, it's, and that's the thing that I think a lot of guys, and I'm not saying, I think back the old days, like with your dad, you, Eddie Graham, those guys, when they taught those fundamentals, nowadays, I think they don't, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I haven't been to a camp. I can't say.
Yeah.
I just see what I see on television. I don't see the same type of technique that you saw in your era, even in the 80s and into the 90s. It's all
Right.
changed. It's all
you look back at what built the WWE. They took he grabbed the top talent out of every promotion.
Yeah.
And that talent was all trained the hard way. It came out of the Hart camp, Stu Hart's camp.
Yeah.
The guys came out of there, they were ready to rock and roll. Came out of Vern's camp, they were ready. They came out of Eddie Graham's. They went through Matsuda, who did the training down there.
Yeah, down in Florida.
And it was hard, grueling, but everybody learned technique, they learned balance, and learned how to respect the sport. Some of the kids today, I'm a little hard on them, and they don't know how to take that. They can't handle criticism. They all want to be told how great they are. And I said, if you're looking for that, don't come to me, because I'm going to train you the right way.
Yeah.
You're going to respect the sport. You're going to respect how hard it is.
Yeah.
And, they see it on TV and they think, oh shit, I can do that. They go in there and do a couple flips and flops and think they're, the next great thing.
Yeah.
But they've lost a lot of it. I'm starting to see the WWE putting a little bit more wrestling into it than they did before.
Yeah. I think too that, because a lot of it now is the interviews. They're in the ring for 20 minutes talking.
Oh, God, yeah.
Instead of, and I missed that back in your era. You come out for maybe, I don't know, 2 minutes with Gene or Roger Kent, whoever. You went to the ring, you did the match, they called the match. It was, 10, 15 minutes, whatever, 20 minutes, whatever your match was. It wasn't 5 minutes like it is now. It's 5 minutes, they're done. They go shower.
Well, when they do this is what I heard lately. The average person lasts about 8 seconds watching TV. That's their attention span. And then they're clicking the channel.
Yeah.
So what they've had to create the wrestling now, where it's constant action, so they're not turning the channel.
Yeah.
And back in our day, you had to be able to wrestle.
Yeah.
You had to be able to get in and out of holes.
Yeah.
Today, you have to, and they call it sports entertainment.
They do.
And I mean, it's all action. It's like watching I went to a movie the other night, Bullet Train with Brad Pitt. Oh my God. My girlfriend took me there. She thought it'd be a great movie.
Yeah.
It was nonstop action, but killing. I've never seen so many people killed in a movie, not even in a war movie. And it just, and you wonder why our society is so screwed up right now.
Yeah.
Young kids, that's what they're watching. They're
Mhm.
playing these damn video games, and
Yeah.
they're
I do.
shooting people,
Yeah.
and they become oblivious to it.
Yeah.
That they don't think it's not real to them, I think. I'd like to really have somebody do a study on the video games and the people then that are committing these crimes.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. Like my grandson, we had our grandkids this summer here.
I didn't know you were a grandpa.
Yeah.
No, hey, Gramps.
Yeah.
All right.
And
join the crowd.
yeah, so we had them, but we'd had to limit their time on the video games and stuff. Well, that's because their mom wanted to too, but yeah, it's totally different. And yeah, I miss the old stuff. I think they're starting to come back to it. I know, like NWA, the Billy Corgan.
Yeah, Billy is a big.
They're doing that. They do an interview for maybe a couple of minutes on their little platform like the old days, and then they go in the ring. They don't do this 20 minutes of sitting in or staying in the ring for talking trash, and someone comes out and beats them up, and then they leave. No, it's the way it used to be, and that's what
Billy likes that. I've talked to Billy a couple times.
Yeah.
In fact, he has a lot of historical things from my family.
Oh wow, that's good.
Pictures and stuff. Yeah, and we've talked, and that's what he's so big on. He wants that old school wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's a little farther for him to get going because he doesn't have a national TV show. But he doesn't have the wherewithal, the backing, financial backing to sign people to contracts.
Yeah.
I think he's got 3 or 4 signed, but it's coming out of his pocket.
Yeah. And that's the bad part, is that he could, I mean, the finances, like you said, is the big problem. Is I think he was on a roll really good in 2019 to 20 until COVID hit. Then it kind of just
it hurt him quite a bit.
Yeah, he hit a brick wall, and not his fault, but
he's got some good talent.
He does.
He needs the opportunity to get himself on a national TV contract with somebody. And the problem is the money it takes now to get that going.
Yeah.
Unless the TV is paying you for it. And when you don't have, to the TV people today, the stars are the people that are on the WWE and the AEW.
Yeah.
And it takes time to develop people when you're doing the style Billy is.
Yeah.
But that's why he needs somebody to get behind him, a network that would get behind him, help fund it, so he could sign, maybe 10 or 12 good performers that can really get in the ring and do what we used to do. And I think you could capture the people back again.
Oh yeah.
I want to believe that. Maybe I'm wrong because our society today, everything is boom, 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 boom. They want action, action, action.
I don't think you're wrong at all. In fact, I think that's what people want. I think it's just pounded in their heads, like everything else in society on the main networks. They pound their narratives.
Yeah.
And that's what you're supposed to, even though most people probably think the opposite. It's just, that's what they're pushing. And that's unfortunate that, but anyway, I hope Billy gets it going.
We're hoping that we're going to be able to do documentaries for most of our people.
That'd be great. I
That's
am
our
looking
goal.
so forward to these action figures. I already told my wife I'm buying the first 6 when they come out. I said I'm buying them.
Well,
You see,
you'll be able to go online and we'll take orders.
okay.
Once the website on September 6th.
Yeah, I got it.
Boy, it better
down.
be up on that time. That's what they're telling me. You'll be able to take orders, pre-orders, and hopefully we're trying to get the first figures out by Christmas.
Okay.
It might be the week after, but that's when they'd be delivered to the people that are buying up front.
Okay,
and you'll get a little discount, I think, on buying up front.
All right. Well, you can count me in. I can tell you that. And the people that are probably listening to this or watching this are probably going to buy it too. And I'll put it down in the description below when the podcast drops, which will be this coming week here. So
right.
So you'll have time to do your social media, and hopefully you'll get a lot of orders. And yeah, so a couple more questions and we'll let you go. I know you're busy. Right. So other than the Powertown and the training that you've done, was there any other projects you've been working on or things you're doing?
Keep getting a new house.
Okay, well, that's
no. I've been in this one for 40 years. My wife passed away almost 4 years ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
And it's too much for me to handle.
Yeah.
But when I've got a really low interest mortgage on this one.
Okay.
And boy, when you go out there and look, I'm downsizing and paying more than I'm paying now. So it's really it's tough, but that's I got that, and I'm helping these kids. I was down. I don't know. I got tested 5 times for COVID and didn't have it, but I was down for 15 days. I lost 10 pounds, and my doctor gave me a Z-Pack, and that didn't help. 3 days later, he says, "Go to the ER. You must have pneumonia." So I go to the ER, and the doctor comes in and says, "Well, we're going to do an X-ray. We're going to take some blood, make sure you don't have a blood clot, and see if the lungs are full. And we'll give you a COVID test." I said, "Okay." So she did all the blood work and all that. She comes back an hour later. She said, "Well, you don't have pneumonia. Your lungs are clear." I said, "You can hear my chest rattling without putting the stethoscope down there." She said, "I know it." She said, "You've got to have COVID." So she said, "I'm going to, I'll check on the test. I'll be back." Comes back 45 minutes later, says, "You don't have COVID." I said, "Well, what the hell do I have then? I feel like I'm dying." She said, "I think you have a summer cold." I said, "A summer cold? I can't breathe."
Oh, man.
And she said, "Well," she gave me a prescription, took that, but you can still hear my voice. This is like 6 weeks now.
Yeah. You can hear a little bit, yeah.
Quite shake it. But I got something.
Yeah.
It's just old age.
Yeah, we all get our, bumps and all that stuff. When you get older, it's more susceptible. So, all right. Well, hey, Greg.
Well, thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you for coming on so much.
And, how's your viewership coming?
Oh, it's good. I got over 300 subscribers on this channel now, and we're building. I got my little store, trying to sell some product, but we're doing good. So, but
well, good luck with it, and anything I can do to help you out, let me know.
I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Greg Gagne. Go to that website. I'll put it on the description for Powertown, September 6th.
Powertown, where wrestling lives on.
Where wrestling lives on.
Hey, we've also got announcers. We got Marty O'Neill and Gene Okerlund, and we're working on a couple other ones, Gordon Soley and that, and yeah,
we're learning the whole scoop here.
We're bringing everybody back. That meant something to professional wrestling.
Great. Well, wonderful.
Thanks again, Brian.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're listening, thank you. And we will talk to you